As the colors change to fall, the shows just keep getting brighter on Global Voice Broadcasting. Shows about everything that matters to you, from love, living, and life. If you're talking about it, we're talking about it this fall on Global Voice Broadcasting. Don't miss a second.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Hello, world, and how is everybody doing today? We are back and hope you had a great weekend. I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Yes.
My biological son as well as Shamika Brown, Mika the Diva, who gives you all of that great community and entertainment news. So we're going to jump right into it and let Mika the Diva share with you entertainment news.
Right, everyone. And it is your girl, Mika the Diva, and here is your entertainment and community news for Monday, October 20th. Guess who is coming back to daytime TV? That's right, Tyra Banks.
Oh.
The fabulous Tyra Banks just got greenlit for a new show launching fall 2015. The name of the show is The Fab. That means fun and beautiful. It's going to be Disney ABC syndicated. It's a lifestyle show, and she will have a panel with her. It's going to be fashion, food, design, just really, really great talk show. And she's going to have people like Christy Teigen, who is a model, and you guys may know her, also the wife of John Legend.
Yes,
we really love her. Fashion guru Joe Z, interior designer Lauren Mock, and do-it-yourself YouTuber Leah Ashley. Everyone from celebrities to entrepreneurs to just everyday people doing extraordinary stuff are slated to come on the show. So we definitely want to check her out. And again, that's coming to ABC 2015, fall. Okay, so let's get into some box office numbers. Domestic, first of all, Fury. That's the Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf war crime drama, and that's coming in with $23.7 million, so that's some big numbers. Gone Girl, staying up there in the top 3. You know, they've been in my report for the last couple of weeks, so shout out to Ben Affleck, still doing his thing. So that's Gone Girl at $17.5 million. And then the animation flick, The Book of Life, $17 million, and that's starring Diego Luna and Zoe Saldana. International numbers, I finally have those for you guys this week. Guardians of the Galaxy, that's also starring Zoe Saldana and Chris Pratt,
Right.
$30 million.
Wow.
Dracula Untold with Luke Evans and Sarah Gadon, and that's $9.7 million. And then Gone Girl back in the top 3 international with $4.9 million for the weekend. So
That's big global money for the box office.
Big money.
Yes,
I
it
love
is.
it. So look, guys, if you've checked out any of those films, Aim to Purpose on Twitter, please share with us. Let us know what you thought. Okay, and then here are my picks for the upcoming releases on October 24th. John Wick. Okay, this is the movie starring Keanu Reeves and William Dafoe. You guys know Keanu from the Matrix trilogies.
Right.
And William Dafoe was actually the Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
really
yes.
did a really good job in that film. So, Here's the synopsis. An ex-hitman comes out of retirement to track down the gangsters that took everything from him. Oh my God, I know Keanu is good, so we can't wait to check this one out. And then just in time for Halloween, we've got Ouija. Olivia Cook from Bates Motel and Darren Kagasoff from Secret Life of the American Teenager. This is about a group of friends who must confront their most terrifying fears when they awaken the dark powers of an ancient spirit.
The classic Ouija board.
Yeah, so guys,
Classic
again,
Ouija board.
tweet me at Mika the Diva, Aim to Purpose. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you guys think of those. Okay. Also, I have some upcoming events for upcoming Hollywood events, actually. So AF5 Fest 2014 is coming. This is the annual film festival by the American Film Institute, and it is sponsored by Audi. Fabulous Audi. We love the cars.
Oh, yeah.
November 6th through the 13th. Now, I told you guys I would have some exclusive on how to get tickets. Free tickets will be available on October 24th, beginning at 10 a.m. online. So make sure you go to afi.com/AFIFest. You'll find out schedule. Obviously, you have to purchase gala and after party tickets. But again, you'll get free tickets to the screening. You want to make sure that you set your calendar and an alarm so you can get on, because they will sell out fast. I promise you that.
Free. Take
That's
advantage.
right.
Take
That's
advantage.
right. Okay, and honorable mention for this weekend, I did check out the Taste of Soul Festival. Crenshaw Corridor was just shut down. We had an amazing time. There were so many people out there. Shout out to Bakewell Media, Danny Bakewell, owner of the Los Angeles Sentinel. Every year, this festival gets bigger and bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And so many vendors, wonderful food. Everyone was just out there having a good time. It felt like a big old reunion. I ran into people I hadn't seen in a while. So again, congratulations, job well done. I got a chance to see Queen Latifah.
She was there?
Yes, she was there. 94.7 Wave stage. She didn't perform. I was hoping she would, but just to be in the building and
yes.
supporting, and it was just really, really good time. KJLH also had a stage, so you had people like Tank and Tyrese and all of these wonderful artists that came out to support. So it was really, really great community event. They had a gospel stage as well, and they even did a mini talent show. So some new stars kind of getting their shine.
New stars getting their yeah. New stars emerging.
New stars.
So again,
Bringing it up.
really, really good week in entertainment, and we just hope that you guys get out to the movies and enjoy this wonderful stuff that's happening. And then let's switch gears to community news. Listen, my report is really, really quick, but I just want to kind of spread some awareness as it comes to earthquakes. West Coast, I'm speaking to you specifically. Are you ready for the big one? That's the question we're asking.
I'm not ready for it, but
Well, so it's about being prepared, right? If you think about it, I don't know if you guys were here during the Northridge earthquake back in '97.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
we just had things have been rocking and rolling lately.
I was
just
even here for the first one, 1971, that I experienced,
Oh,
and
wow.
I tell you, it was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, not fun at all. And again, we just want to kind of put it on your minds. How can you be prepared? Just a couple of quick tips, things that you can do around the house, and then just to have your family and and your loved ones prepared for this earthquake.
I always hear water is one of the big things to keep around the house.
That's right.
stock up,
that's first on my list, actually.
Yeah, water.
Canned goods, okay? I'm even suggesting that you pack just a little bag, with clothes and toiletries.
Yep.
Just that you can grab real quick. Have an evacuation plan. Make sure your insurance is paid up, because check it out. FEMA, when you call them, you need to start getting repairs and stuff done. If your insurance is not up, you're going to be mad. So
Right.
again, think about those things and really, really try to get a plan together. Again, water, food and clothes, evacuation plan, and have your insurance together.
And a first aid kit.
First aid kit is also very
Gotta
important.
have that.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that you guys do? Like, do you have anything ready, or are you thinking like, oh, something I better...
You know what I do? I get it ready, and then we don't have an earthquake for a long time, and then it just kind of goes by the wayside. I'm glad you reminded me, because
yeah.
I'm going to get mine ready again.
Yes.
I always say water.
Yeah,
I always say water. When all else fails, water.
definitely.
That will keep you going at least long enough until you get to where there is food.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So water is definitely one of those things, and the canned goods too. Everything matters and everything helps.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So talk about that with your family. Make sure that everybody is, just as prepared as possible. And, stay tuned to the news. It's like we never know exactly when one is going to hit, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay. And so that's actually it for my report, guys. And I'm going to be off for the next 2 weeks. I'll be back on November 3rd to bring you more entertainment and community news. So I'll be out in the streets just trying to gather some good stuff for you guys. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
There you
November
go.
3rd.
Yeah.
We'll be back with Mika the Diva. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great community and entertainment news. And we are going to get ready for our special guest today. And guess what? We have a special guest all the way from Delaware that's Skyping in. And that's Delaware here in the United States for those of you who are listening to us live across the waters. And you can always call in because we are live today at 323-522-5482 and ask any questions. Our guest today is Patrick J. Patterson. He is going to educate us on Grant Writing 101.
Yes.
But before we get to our special guest today, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to introduce you to our special guest so you can learn how to get all this free money.
Before we do that, really quick, I want to just make a quick announcement. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and for those of you who may know someone with breast cancer or may know someone that has passed from breast cancer or someone who has survived through breast cancer treatment, I have an article that I've posted up on Facebook over the last 4 years now, and I'm going to have this article posted up on my mom's website, which is louisehicks.biz. It's really in-depth information that's really paramount, in my opinion, that women know information about breast cancer, what they can do, what the causes are, what you won't be told through your oncologist, and information that would be of help to not only yourself but your family as well. So go to louisehicks.biz and check out the article. It's simply called October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and really pick up on some information about that. So once again, louisehicks.biz, and I'll have, I guess Shamika will make that happen, and it's really good information. So with that being said, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with our special guest, Patrick J. Patterson. Hey folks, it's Ken here. If you or someone you know around the world has a small business, organization, or foundation you'd like to share with the Aim to Purpose audience, showcase it here on our segment of the show called Small Business Monday. The opportunities for people around the world to browse, buy, and use your products and services are endless. We pre-screen all businesses, organizations, and foundations for legitimacy, but because this is a free community service brought to our audience, it's at no cost to you as well. You heard it right. It's absolutely free, and you don't have to pay 1 penny. How do you like that? You just come on down to the studio and tell the story of your business, organization, or foundation, and give it the praises and accolades you know it deserves. If you're in another part of the state or country, or if you're in another part of the world, you can easily call in or Skype in and do the same. So what are you waiting for? Contact the show's publicist, Shamika Brown, at www.divinebrownmedia.com. She can also be contacted at 1-818-533-8463. Or contact Louise Hicks at www.louisehicks.biz. She can also be contacted at 1-562-310-1495. Allow yourself to be seen by the global masses and allow your business to shine and grow because of the global masses. It's Small Business Monday, courtesy of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Hello, world. We are back. Again, I'm Louise Hicks, your co-host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, along with my son and co-host, Kenan Wesley Mason. And today, as I promised you, we have a very exciting, informative show. We have our guest, Patrick J. Patterson, and our topic today is Grant Writing 101. And we know any organization out here, if you are looking to get funds for your community projects, your nonprofits, you're in the right place today. So let's go ahead, and Ken is going to share with you, and we're going to go ahead and introduce our special guest.
Mr. Patrick J. Patterson has served as a committed change agent and champion for fathers and families with nearly 2 decades of direct service, public affairs, advocacy, and executive management experience in federal government, foundation, and for-profit sectors. With more than 10 years' experience as a grant writer and trainer, Mr. Patterson has successfully written and led grant writing efforts that have resulted in state, foundation, and federal grant awards, resulting in more than $40 million, including multi-million-dollar federal grant awards received during both the Bush and Obama administrations. His career began as an executive at the Sisters of Charity Foundation of South Carolina, the second largest foundation in the state, with assets totaling more than $85 million. While there, Mr. Patterson served as statewide manager of the SOCF Fatherhood Initiative, where he earned a national reputation as a fatherhood leader and expert. Mr. Patterson is a native of Columbia, South Carolina. He earned a Bachelor's of Social Work degree from Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, and a dual master degrees in social work and public health from the University of South Carolina. And he's also the president and founder of Global Partners for Fathers and Families, LLC. With that, it is our pleasure to have with us our special guest today on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Patrick J. Patterson. Patrick.
Hello. How are you today?
Good evening.
How are you, Patrick?
Doing very well.
Great.
How you guys doing?
Great. And thank you so much for coming on today to share with us all of this most needed information about how we can get this free money and how you can help us, because many of us are looking to find free money, and we know we are hearing every day we're in a crisis here. We don't have any money for this. We don't have any money for that. But you say we have money for grants, right?
We do.
So how does that work? That we have all this money for grants and we are struggling when we can go and do something to help others. So how did you get started in grant writing, first of all?
Absolutely. So again, I'll say thank you to you guys for the invitation to be on the show tonight. But for me, this is it's an awesome opportunity for many reasons. One of those is most of us either were raised or know of communities where there's an incredible need. I grew up in South Carolina, as I was introduced. And for me, the opportunity was either to go and work for an organization that might understand or to either decide to pursue grants that would help me to create what I know needs to happen in my community. And so from very early on, where I grew up, the needs kind of outweighed the resources that were locally available. And so what I became passionate about was doing the work first. So I've spent many years in the trenches doing the work. And then secondly, finding out actually how to do resource development, grant writing. And I'm not ashamed to say, over the years, many people that I've met talk about around writing a grant. But I'll share tonight, this is live, so I'll share, there are 2 things that are going to happen when you write a grant. You're either going to win it or you're going to lose it in terms of writing and winning. But you have to be in the game. And for me, it's a personal commitment to actually take people's ideas and put them into action based on the needs that are in our community. So it's been a 20-year love of mine to not only write grants, but to teach people exactly how to do it.
That's what we need, because we know, like you're saying, in the communities now, there is a great need, particularly
Absolutely.
in the minority communities. This is where the need is greater. And one of the problems is we don't have the assets or the money to really help to hone these kids, particularly the kids, to hone their
Yeah.
skills and help them to be better and to understand how to get where they need to be. And you're really passionate, I can tell, about this, because you said you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes.
And in doing this for 20 years, and another thing I picked up on, you said you can either win a grant or you can lose a grant. So that
Correct.
tells me, when your bio was read, with you working to get grants from both the Bush administration as well as the Obama administration, and you've managed to get these multi-million-dollar grants. So you must know how to write a winning grant, right?
I do. So I'll tell you, I mean, a couple things that really excite me is there is an absolute formula to writing the grants. And for me, the critical elements are that you have an interest in addressing a community need. I was just in St. Louis this past weekend during a training, and there was just this massive amount of energy around Ferguson and the issues there. I was in Philly almost 2 weeks ago, and there's a massive need around crime and violence where their needs are present. And I met people in both of those cities that knew exactly what needs to be done. And going to knock on, and I love the government. I've worked with the government. I've received grants from the government. But going to knock on the government's door sometimes is not going to be the answer. And so what I always encourage folks is, no one is coming to save us.
Right.
Create your own resource.
You got to save yourself, huh?
You got to save yourself.
Yeah, you do
And for
have to
me,
save yourself. And we
do
stress that all the time on Aim to Purpose, the radio show. That's why we're here. We are here to educate,
Absolutely.
empower, inspire, and bridge gaps on cultural issues. So you
Yep.
got to do that.
Yep. No one is coming to save us. And so I always encourage folks, to organize around what the need is, and then look at what the available resources are. I'm going to share with just a fact with you guys. There's almost $200 million a year that are either from federal grant sources or foundation grant sources that are not applied for, meaning the money is available and people do not apply for it.
What
And one of the
happens to
things
that money, Patrick, if we don't apply for it? You said $200 million
200 million.
annually?
$200 million annually.
What
between
happens if we don't
foundations
apply
and the
for
federal
it?
government.
What was your question again?
Where does the money go if we don't apply for it? You're saying it's there available, but nobody applies for it.
Yeah, it goes back into the coffers. I mean, we're taxpayers, and so they use it to cover other resource needs across the country. If it's a foundation, most of them are actually spending off of the interest of what they have in their trust. And so that goes back into their trust, essentially. But every year, there's a missed opportunity in every community. From your listeners who are listening tonight, there is a pressing need that needs to be addressed, and the money's available. Well, we just decide, or we don't know. And I'll be honest, we don't know where the money is to actually address the needs.
We really don't. We're always told that we're such a quote broke nation,
Right.
but there seems to be monies available
There
for
are.
everything else that we've needed. I mean, we see on television there's monies for wars, and there's money for everything that goes along with it. So why can't we have this money that is available to possibly young entrepreneurs that may need capital?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll give you a couple of places that I usually, for myself, look, but also direct people. And this is just stuff that I've learned over the years doing this. But one of the resources, if you guys go on there tonight, you'll find a plethora of resource dollars that are available. Grants.gov is the federal
I've heard
website.
of that.
It is like the Walmart of funding. And any and almost everything you think about that deals with people, families, or our communities, there's money on there every day, and I check it almost every day. Every day that I go on there, it is almost 300 plus funding opportunities for people to receive and either apply for grants. Now, the connection has to happen between what's available and what you need it for. So if it's a grant for agriculture and you're looking to address violence, there's a disconnect there. But what I always encourage people to do is check it on your own, because there is money currently available to address the needs that we all have for either entrepreneurs. One of my favorite groups to work with is churches, to really take them from their idea of what needs to happen locally to then receiving hundreds or millions of dollars to address the needs in their communities.
And you mentioned agriculture, so if someone needed grant money to have access to acres for a farm, for example, yeah, they could go to grants.gov and write up a proposal for how the money's going to be allocated towards growing these new crops for
Right.
agricultural purposes or to
Yes.
get it out to the public.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also, Patrick, does this grants.gov, does that change on a day-to-day basis as to what resources are available? Is it something that is pretty much stationary at whatever time they put it out there, or is it something that they keep adding money to, so you have to keep checking?
Yeah, Ms. Hicks, this is very dynamic. I mean, every day that you go out there, you're going to find something new.
Oh,
Every day.
okay.
Every day. And it literally is organized in a fashion. I usually do it with people because at first glance, if you've not looked on the website like this, it's got a lot of moving parts to it. But literally, it lists the announcement, it lists the actual grant opportunity. So it may say funding for youth violence prevention. And then it'll list the dates that are very important, when it was released in terms of made available, and then when it's due. And very often, what the kind of calls that I get from folks across the country, and I've been to 4 other countries doing this work as well, folks will call me and say, listen, I see a grant. We're thinking about it. Please help us understand what we're looking at. And then I take them from that place to the application process. And again, there are 2 outcomes. One of those doesn't happen if you don't apply.
Right.
So you're either going to win or you don't. But we then go through our meticulous process of putting things together on paper, writing around what the partners look like, addressing the core need that is really stressing that community or those families in that neighborhood or that community or that state. And then we apply. But it is available every day. The other resource that I'll give you guys is our website. There's a couple things on there that I'll just point out. Our website is globalpartnersff.com, globalpartnersff.com. One thing that we have on our website, if we're not in your city doing a training, is a training manual that I spent 20 years doing this work, raised almost now $51 million. I just won a grant for $11 million this past month. So it's a process that anybody can do. I grew up in the projects, so I'm not ashamed to say that. I come from humble beginnings. My knuckles were dirty many days doing work in the community. And what I figured out early on is what I said earlier. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save us. That we have to take our own tools and create those opportunities for ourselves. That's what's very important. So our website has the manual on it, but also you'll be able to either host. There's a form on there if you want to host us in your community to do a training, or if you see a location near you, you can join us. Both of those things are on our website as well.
Now, you said host, we can host you. Is there such a thing as a grant to bring you into the community where there's a need? Say you have an organization, a nonprofit, and you want to host you. Is there grant money to bring you? Because most organizations not going to have this money to host you unless you live perhaps where you're living at. You live in Delaware, is that correct?
I do. I live in Delaware. I'm a little bit away from you guys.
Right. So what if someone wanted to host you? Is there grant money for that?
There is grant money for that if you have a current grant. You're not very often going to go to a website or to a foundation and find available dollars that will say hosting of a grant writing training. What you will find are funds for community capacity building that allows you to bring in experts or trainers to do various things that improve the capacity of the community. For the places that I've been, what often happens, and this is by the grace of God, people will call me and say, listen, heard about you, we saw you, we want you to come to this community. And I'll give them my PR guy's name, Yusuf Salam. He'll make the contacts, and out of nowhere, or sometimes out of their resource bucket, they'll make the means available. One of the things that I'm really prideful about is that I'm not in this, honestly, to buy myself this mansion that people might envision. I sleep at night by doing this work to help people that I know need the help. And so we try to be as competitive as we can, cost-wise, and make sure that it's as light a burden on the host agency as possible. The St. Louis training, there were a couple of nonprofits that got together. They figured out what it cost to bring me there, and they made it happen. The evaluations were just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't really sleep on the flight home because I was so full of, this service that I think is important to doing this. So it's just a matter of talking to at least our folks, and I can give you their information if you already have it, don't already have it.
Right.
But we're willing to make it affordable for folks when we come out as well.
Because that would be great to have something like that. And from what you're saying, I came from humble beginnings too. And that's one of the reasons I started Aim to Purpose, the radio show, because I want to impart information out and to empower people, because I'm not ashamed to say I grew up in Louisiana. I'm from the South, Shreveport. However, those roots helped me to get where I am today. For a while there, we were on welfare. I came from a single family home. I'm not ashamed to say any of that, because that took me and prepared me to be where I am today. And that's all relevant to our path and our journey of where we are. Now, you talked about this formula of how we get this money, and the first thing you have to show, you're saying, is an interest or a need, and you have to address that need, and then you have to make sure that the resources are available. Is it anything else to that formula that we need to impart to our listeners to make sure they understand what is necessary to how, and then we'll go into some other questions, but is it anything else to that formula?
Yes. So I'll give you some of the basic things that I think any successful group has in place when they win grants and what the formula looks like. So the first thing is definitely identifying the need. And I'm very big on that, because most funders want to know, whether it's the government, if it's the Obama administration, the Bush administration, they want to know that when they give these dollars to a community or to an organization, that it's not just the staff or packed pockets of the staff. It's really going to address and make an impact on a specific need. And so having that clearly identified is important. So I always encourage folks, don't take Patrick's word that we have a crime issue. Ask people in that community, and that's how you identify that need, but also use reliable sources of data, the census, school district records, police records, that show that there's an incredible need. I'll give you a prime example. Here in Delaware, in the entire state, the average family that's raising kids in the single parent fashion is about 44% across the state. For the country, in the United States, it's about 37%. When you look at one of our most depressed, stressed communities, Wilmington, Delaware, it's 70%. So you got nationally 37, statewide 44%, 70% for that town, that community. And then for African-American families, it is 85% of those children are being raised without their fathers. So you won't be taking my word. You'll be looking at reliable sources of data that show there's a need. So that's the first thing. I'll give you these last two, and then I'll pause for any other questions. But the second thing is, who will you be doing this work under? So you must have in place an incredibly strong, either new or veteran organization that when they present themselves to a funder, the funder is going to say, I have confidence that when I give you $2 million, you will know what to do with it, and there will not be any articles about you guys mismanaging this money. And so that has to be present at all times, that you have the expertise and capacity to manage that. And I need to just say, you don't have to be a 40-year organization. You can be a brand new organization. I've seen it happen. I've helped new groups get dollars. You can be a new organization and get this money as long as you have the integrity and the capacity and the skill set to manage these funds. And the very last thing that I'll stop with that you have to have in place is partners. The days are gone where the government can fund me and fund you and everybody else in the same town. There's more needs now and less dollars. And so the formula that's really important, and everybody doesn't play nice, Ms. Hicks. The formula that's really important is that you find partners that you can trust, that you can complement each other, that when you do present yourself in an application, what it shows to the potential funder is that in this community, you don't have to worry about infighting. We're all in this together and are going to make this successful.
Yeah, that really makes a lot of sense too. When you say whether we a new organization or not. Now, let me share this with you. My intent is to start a nonprofit organization. It will be aimed to purpose the foundation, and I intend to get this started. Now, is there money for a startup to help you to get started? as opposed to you have to be started before you can get the money?
There are dollars. One of the arms of the government that's I'm really fond of is called the SBA, the Small Business Administration. I'm not sure if your listeners have heard of
Yes,
it, but
yes,
Yes, I've
yes.
heard of the SBA.
SBA is a wonderful incubator home for new organizations to receive grant dollars that help them to get started. You're going to be getting training from reliable government providers that help you understand the process, but you also receive between $5,000 and $25,000 depending on what your new organization is. Now, I will say this, and I love, as I said before, the government, but I always encourage people. The government is a great resource, but not the only resource, and
Right.
so their foundations, and there are too many to name on this call that identify and want to help new startup organizations.
Yeah.
They are interested mainly in organizations that specifically are trying to address a pressing desired need in each of these communities. What it takes is a conversation with a person like me. I'm not the only one that does these trainings, but I'm pretty successful at it because of the feedback that I receive. But a conversation with someone that knows these foundations, and I cover this in our trainings, and really speaking to how you approach these foundations. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned in doing this work and receiving almost $51 million is that people really aren't funding my organization. They're funding me. They're funding you, Ms. Hicks. They're going to fund you and what you believe in. They're going to fund what you see as a need. And so the relationship building process before you get money is as important as after the money. So I always encourage folks, spend time on folks' websites. If there's a foundation local to you that's doing a convening or community event, spend time with them and learn what they like to fund. So that when you present your proposal, your project, your foundation idea to them, you will have a pretty good sense about what they're likely to fund versus not knowing at all. If that
Right.
makes any
So
sense.
it's about building that rapport, so that way the foundations will feel more comfortable.
Absolutely.
When they do, or when or if they decide to go ahead and give the okay to, turn this money over to Aim to Purpose, the foundation, or any other foundation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
And
it's a
oh, go
you can do
ahead.
it long distance. I've received money from foundations in Ohio. I live in Delaware. But you can watch what they do. If you're on their Facebook page, their Twitter account, you can still get not the same as in person, but you can still get a good taste of what they like to fund and what they do locally. The last thing I'll mention, I didn't say this earlier, is making sure the organization that you intend to apply under has all of its paperwork in place. And what I mean by that is if you're going to be a 501c3, which is a nonprofit status that the government recognizes, you want to have that in place so that when an opportunity comes, you're not trying to write a proposal and get that in place at the same time. If you're going to be a LLC, you want to get that in place so you're available and eligible to apply for funding that becomes available.
I see. So that is important to have your paperwork in place. Now, let me ask you this, Patrick. Is the funding for profits, non-profits only, or can you get funding for profit organizations as well?
Absolutely. There's whenever you apply for a grant, whether it be a federal grant or a foundation grant, typically one of the first things that they establish is who's eligible to apply. And all of the types of organizations that you can think of, nonprofits, schools, churches, faith-based organizations, LLCs, S corps, not all at the same time, but invariably speaking, each of those has their own lanes of funding. What it requires is a little bit of homework, and we help folks do this all the time. Find out what they want to do, what they're available to pursue, and then help them put a plan in place to apply for it. But I've seen all sorts from one-man band type to 400 staff person organizations receive a variety of different funding sources.
So, in other words, you're saying, okay, my company, for an example, I'm using myself in the absence of having something else to use. I'm
Sure.
LLC, L. Hicks Consulting Services, and say I wanted to go after a grant to assist me in sponsoring what I'm doing, which is educational, empowering, assisting young people, doing speaking engagements, and so forth. You're saying there's funding for that type of movement?
Yes. Yes.
And see, that's interesting because I mean, it's so much out here that we don't know.
No, we don't. I'm a new LLC as well with my new business, Kinetic Fit and Wellness. I'm a one-man show right now. It's just started as of August of this year. But it's good to know that there is funding out there when I may need it, when the business grows and I have a certain amount of employees in place or or partners, to where if I do need funding for the growth of the business or for a facility or whatever the case might be, that there is a way for funding versus what a lot of people do. They will go to a bank for a loan versus other monies that may be out here, because there are options.
Absolutely.
But if we don't know them, know about them, now, do you have to have employees to, if you want to tap into these resources, if you are LLC or that type of business, profit business, but you are educating others? For an example, we know First Lady Michelle Obama has this obesity movement going, and what, like Kenan has said, he's a LLC, he's a one-man show. But what he's imparting is valuable information to everyone to help them with the obesity, because obesity is a lot about mindset as well. It's how you think, and as to what you're putting in your stomach too, to help you to become obese. So if you're a one-person LLC, is there grant money for that?
There is. What Kenan just described, what typically happens with that kind of setup is literally you have to have, and this is how it happens most often. If you're going to provide some kind of, let's just say, health and wellness program, what you have to have for most of your grant funded programs, whether it be federal money, state money, county money, or foundation money, is a group that's going to be the beneficiary of your services. So, for example, with Kenan's doing what he's doing, if he's got, say, a community of people who might be in need of health and wellness information or maybe training per se.
Right.
If he's particularly going to be doing a service or a program that's going to impact a number of people, because you got to look at investment from the foundation or the government and the return on that investment. It can't just be coming to Patrick's LLC.
Right.
It's got to have a community benefit to it. And so if you got a population that you envision impacting, you stand a great chance of receiving those grant dollars. For you, Ms. Hicks, if you're going to be doing, helping people understand broadcasting and maybe the technology behind that. One of my greatest colleagues in Washington, D.C., he was in a similar process. He actually does a radio station down in Howard. He was worried about how might he take his talent to actually benefit the community. And he took his radio hosting talents to a local middle school. And so he's received grant dollars because he takes these kids who are from the city into the station, and at 6th, 7th, 8th grade, he's exposing them to what might be a career possibly in radio and broadcasting. And so look at your technology, your expertise, but then you have a beneficiary that's going to receive the benefit of that. There's money for that available. You can wrap that around education. You can wrap that around career development, decision making, but it's got to be a programmatic or a service element to what you're trying to provide, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And I'm so glad you came on this show, Patrick, because the audience, I'm sure if they're like me, most people don't know this. And here you're telling us that there is over $200 million annually that go back to the government.
Into the government coffers.
Nobody know what to do and how to do this, because everybody's thinking, oh, we are broke. Nobody has any money. And here's all this money that's going back because we don't know how to get it. We don't know how to tap into the resource. That's why knowledge is so powerful when you put it into action. And that's what we got to start doing, because you have certainly enlightened me, because that's exactly what I intend to do with Aim to Purpose, the foundation, as well as the radio show. Right now, we are looking to provide an internship program with Aim to Purpose, the radio show, because we have people out here that want to go into this type of service, but they don't they don't know how. And now you're telling me there are resources out here to help me to show them how to get into radio broadcasting and all of this. Absolutely. I mean, that's excellent news.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Because I didn't know that.
No, it's an awesome thing, and I think one of the most prideful things that gives me joy is that the information is power, and so you can
Oh,
take
absolutely.
from this. Your listeners can take from this information. I'm very, very excited about the chance to talk to you guys, because I would love to come out west and do a training. I've had some interest from folks out there already to look at some spring dates, because everybody in the country, even if you decide not to apply, should be made aware that you can take the tools that you personally have in your hands and create opportunities for folks in your community. You don't have to wait on nobody.
No, we
You don't have to knock on anybody's door. You can do it yourself.
Right. And like you said, it's about creating opportunities that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Absolutely.
So it's good. If you do come out west, I'd love to sit down and talk with you.
Well, we want to get a group so we can find out who this person is. You said that you can tell us about to this PR person, and that way we can get a group of people together, because I am certainly planning on having my organization, my paperwork and everything. My goal is to have it all in place by the first of the year, and since you hopefully we can have you out, because we can get some other people. And it's that when we had an educational person on here, an educator, back in July, and Dr. Roma J. Benjamin, she quit a 6-figure job to start her own educational program, particularly for black men. It's not exclusive to black men, but she saw a need there, because we know we are lagging behind in reading, and that's why so many of our men are incarcerated, and we know incarceration is a big business. So to learn about these grants, that's something she needs to have, and I'm going to let her know. She's out in Pennsylvania, and she was a principal and quit a 6-figure job, because the educational system, we all know this, is we're to be where we are today in terms of being the capital, what is it called? We have the greatest country on earth, but in terms of education, we are ranked near the bottom. We are so far behind. And the government is putting back this $200 and some million, and that's really a disgrace, because the government, they're supposed to be here about we the people. Why are they putting this money back somewhere? Why aren't they creating a need to give this money to communities where the need is great as well? I mean, that's what they're supposed to be here for now, to be about we the people. So why are you putting in, what are you doing with this money? That's why I asked, what is this money being used for, $200 million? So maybe they need to come up with something also to let people know how to get this money so that it can go back into the communities, particularly the minority communities. And this is so, oh gosh, we always get short on time because the time goes by so fast. But I have another question for you. You're writing these proposals, and I know I can tell your passion for it, and I can tell you're compassionate about it because of your humble beginnings. And that's why I'm so compassionate about what I do, because I want to see people, and I'm not in it for the money. And like you mentioned something that's very profound when you said integrity, because so many foundations are in this as a business only. Right. And the funds are misused. They're misappropriated. And it's so sad. The money goes to the top, to the people that are running the business.
I can name a few right now.
Oh yeah, several of them. And we have a fight on everything in the world. And like we said, this is breast cancer awareness month. How long have we been fighting all kinds of cancer?
Right.
And we haven't come any close. In fact, more people are getting cancer now than ever, from statistically speaking. But we've had this war on cancer and obesity and everything else for decades. Yeah. And nothing has happened. So it's something wrong here.
Everybody doesn't have the same interests. And that's one of the things I think that separates people who receive and have longevity in terms of funding versus those who don't. I believe anything that's done in the dark will come to the light. And what I've seen over the years, unfortunately, in my career when I was a federal staff person, I've seen people who've been taken to prison for fraudulent behavior. Even if they thought they were fooling everybody, they were not. And so I'm very
the good old white collar crime.
Oh yeah.
Where you get a slap on the hand when you commit it.
It's so tempting. But some of these folks, they doing some prison ministry right now as we speak.
Right.
Because They didn't get out anytime soon because they did some very heinous things with the funds. But I'll just mention a couple things before we close. One of those, I wanted to give my event planner's number and name for you, but also any listener. His name is Yusuf Salam, Salaam, and he's the guy that makes all the magic happen. I've got some trainings coming up in Tennessee, and I got one in New York this weekend, and then we're going to start the year off in South Carolina doing some training. But he is the magician that finds a way, regardless of your budget, to make it happen. Typically, when Yusuf calls me, all I'm able to say is yes, because he's figured out a way to make it happen. So I would worry less about resources and just start thinking about dates. His number is 860-997-6802. For your listeners, it's 860-997-6802. Yusuf Salam, he's the guy that helps to coordinate and bring me to these towns to do trainings. I mean, it's an awesome blessing to be in this position because I'm thankful about where I started. I know what God is doing in my life. I know why I'm in this position. And for me, my greatest challenge every day is to give it to as many folks as possible. And tonight is another blessing for me because you have a massive audience. I appreciate talking to both you guys. And I'm really hopeful that somebody heard that there are opportunities out there for us. You don't have to wait in any line. You can hang up tonight. You can get off the computer tonight, and you can actually begin your process of creating the change that you want to see in your community. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Looking forward to meeting both you guys.
I'm excited too.
Oh, yes.
I'm super excited. I'm going to repeat this information. That's Yusuf. Can you spell his name, Salon? You spell the last name. How do you spell his first name?
Yusuf, Yusuf Salam, Salaam.
And that number is 860-997-6802.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our final break, and then we're going to come back and get some final words from you, just some final advice on how people can go about and what websites to go to again, and just a recap on everything we've talked about for the last 45 minutes or so.
And before we go right quick, this is something I want to ask when we come back. Is it more money available, or is it some different resources available for minority communities, such as the Black communities, Hispanic, or the poor communities? When we come back, you can answer that question.
I can't wait.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Okay, we're back. I'm Louise Hicks again, your host here of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and we're on with Patrick J. Patterson, who is Skyping in today all the way from Delaware with us here on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, with my co-host, Ken and Wesley Mason. And we are nearing the end. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left, and we need to have Patrick to wrap it up. And let's find out. When I left off, we were discussing or asking about, is there more money or some other resources for the more lower economic communities that we know need the money? And is that, are there any available resources in that separately or whatever? How do we go about getting those resources?
Yes, and so I'll speak from the government perspective. There's a program, and you can look it up. I'm saying 8, the number 8A. It's a government program that allows 3 different types of groups to receive advantage or at least greater consideration for grants. Women-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned 8A certification program. It's a government program that really allows woman-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned businesses to compete against the larger firms. For many years, if you were a large, well-established firm in DC or in LA or New York, you could compete. And if I was a new group, I couldn't compete with you. The
Right.
8A program is really designed to take those three types of organizations and put them on the same playing field as those large groups. So
Oh yeah.
veteran-owned, women-owned, minority-owned businesses can become 8A firms. Now, the 8A process, and we can talk about this offline. I'd love to talk to you guys a little bit later.
Great.
There's a process where you have to apply to become considered an 8A. When you become an 8A firm, the number 8 and the letter A firm, essentially you have 7 years to go from when you enter the 8A program to when you end to become competitive on the scale of a large organization. Does that make sense so far?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
does make sense. And
Yeah.
it sounds like to me that I qualify for two at least. I'm a minority and I'm a woman. And I have my own business, my own LLC. So we must talk.
I'm blown away by this because, and like I said, I've spent many years. I'm in DC all the time, and I have a chance to put my fingers into this, so I know it fairly well. But I've seen groups that started off great idea in their basement, and now they're $4 or $5 million a year agencies.
There you
One
go.
of my greatest colleagues several years ago, she was a $100,000 organization. Now she's almost a $17 million organization per year because she was an 8A firm. Now it requires a lot in terms of you're going to be exposed to different kinds of training. You're going to be exposed to different kind of conferences and events. You're going to have to travel to be a part of that. But what it's doing is building your capacity to be competitive against the larger organizations.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's a great opportunity that people don't talk about a lot. And so that's on the grant side from the government, federally speaking. If you're looking at foundations, some foundations do earmark funds for small, nonprofit, minority-led organizations. I'll give you one example, the Open Society Foundation. It's a foundation here in New York that George Soros, if you don't know him, for your
Oh
listeners,
yes.
look him up. He's one of the richest men in the world.
Yes, he is.
He's made a priority to give back to minority communities and has made resources available as well. So there are several places that do earmark money for minorities, particularly on the 8A side, women, veteran, and minority-owned businesses. So there is, for me, little excuse as to why we can't do things that are needed in our community. So before I close, I'll just end with this and I'll take any more questions. Visit us on our website, globalpartnersff.com. You'll find out where we're going to be doing trainings in the future. You'll find out when I'm going to be out west because we already figured that out. And then last but not least, I would encourage you, if you have not thought about it, contact Yusef Salam. Yusef is the guy that, if I'm coming out west, we'll be going to Mississippi at the beginning of the year as well, who can actually make that happen for us as well. So his number again is 860-997-6802, 860-997-6802. I'm excited. I'm encouraged. And I'm just hopeful that, for the few minutes I've had with you guys, I'm really appreciative that I was able to at least enlighten people on what's possible.
and we are too. And
You've
thank
been,
you so
that's
much.
right. You've
been
enlightened
in-
these two people, and if you've enlightened
and
2 other people out there in the world somewhere, you've done your job.
And
Thank you.
And quickly, you have your own LLC, the National Responsible Fatherhood and Healthy Marriage Initiatives. You have, is that your organization where you are assisting with fatherhood and so forth?
Those are organizations, when I mentioned in my bio, that I funded and received grants for. When I was working with the government, I received a grant for fatherhood under the Obama years, and I received funding for healthy marriage under the Bush years. And so those are 2 groups that I ran for a number of years for the government. And so I've done grants for them and done that. So another element of the work that I do is, in addition to grant writing, for about the same 20 years, I've been a fatherhood trainer for many, many, many years around the country. I've done it 45 different states and 4 different countries as well.
That is great, wonderful. Well, we need to have you back again to talk more about that
Love
fatherhood
to.
training that you're doing, and because that's something when Father's Day is coming up, maybe if you have time, you can Skype in again and
Sure.
shed some light on some fatherhood information that you can impart. And that you have been an awesome guest. Is it any just a final thought, or you've pretty much imparted so much information, and we know you have just racked up some money here bringing in these grants, so you know your thing, you know what you're doing.
Thank you. No, I just end with, my dad always tells me all the time is that nobody's coming to save us. So we have it in our hands. We got the tools in our hands, in our capacity, in our experiences, what we've come through in terms of where you grew up, where you live, or what you've seen. We can turn that into an opportunity for some kid, some neighborhood, or some family. So if we can help, we want to do that.
Thank you so much, and we'll remember that Global Partners FF, that's like Frank
Yes.
Patterson. I'm sorry, FF.com, globalpartnersff.com.
That's right.
So we will be visiting your website, and we will be in touch with Mr. Yusef Salam.
Patrick J.
Okay.
Patterson, we want to thank you for being our guest on Aim to Purpose, the radio show. I mean, it's you've really enlightened me on a lot of things. I've been kind of knowing about, I knew about grants.gov, but you definitely gave some more insight on things that I can do now because I'm a business owner now.
There we go.
So I want to thank you for that. And with that being said, as you always say, at the end of the show.
At the end of the show, we tell you until next week, enjoy your weekend, enjoy the rest of your week, and remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose. Until next time.
Summertime is heating up at Global Voice Broadcasting. Hot music, hot talk, and hot topics. All day, every day, 24/7. You don't want to miss a minute on Global Voice Broadcasting.